It's Amanda Cupcake back again with Baking with Amanda Cupcake at the Cupcake Mansion in New London, Wisconsin. And you know, it's getting colder outside and I definitely feel like fall is here. So I wanted to bring alive an apple orchard inside of a cupcake. And I wanted to show you how you can try it at home too. Everyone always wants to know, how do you bake a pie inside of a cupcake? This will be my third year of making pies inside of cupcakes. And it's for the people that they say, oh, I love pie, I don't love cake. So I bring pie lovers and cake lovers together inside of this cupcake. And it has a rich salted caramel frosting on the top with a caramel drizzle. So it's almost like a caramel apple as well as a pie inside of a cupcake. So I'm going to show you step by step how I make this. And the recipe is also going to be listed on my Amanda Cupcake blog. So we'll start first with making the pies. So people always ask me, how in the world do you bake a mini pie inside of a cupcake? And how do you bake a pie inside of a cake in general? Because you can do this inside of a cupcake or inside of a cake, mini or big size. As you can see here, I have ready-made apple pies that I made from scratch with fresh apple pie filling. So I'm going to take you through this and show you how it's done. So the first thing that I do is I actually have a ready-made pie crust. That's the only thing I don't make from scratch. Makes everything easier. And the tool that I use is it's a mini pie making mold, and you use it for different tarts and things like that. But if you think creatively, you can also use it to make miniature pies. So what I do, and you can tell I've already been working with it, is I take my pie crust and roll it out. And then I take my miniature pie mold and use it as a cookie cutter, and I cut into the pie crust here. Okay, and then I kind of separate the pie crust from the mold, and it makes this really pretty shape that looks like a flower. And that is your pie crust. But then how you mold it is you take this mini cupcake pan, which is really versatile because it makes mini cupcakes, but voila, it also makes mini pies. So you take your mini pie crust and you put this inside your mini cupcake pan there, and you kind of indent it with your finger really gently. It doesn't even have to touch the bottom of the mini cupcake pan. And then what you do next is I have this delicious from scratch apple pie filling, and the recipe will be on my Amanda Cupcake blog. You just take a little cookie scoop and you scoop the apple pie filling inside your pie just like you would with a regular pie. And you fill it up and repeat that as many times as you'd like. What I do is I always bake enough mini pies to bake inside of my cupcake and bake enough mini pies to bake on top of my cupcake, so I have double the pie and cupcake love in one. And I bake them at 375 at about 10 to 12 minutes because they're mini, so they don't need a really long time to bake. So that is how you make miniature pies. Next, I'm going to show you how to bake the actual pies inside the cupcake. Alright, so our next step is baking the mini pies inside the cupcake, and I know this is something that you've always wanted to know. How do you bake a pie inside of a cupcake? So our first step is to mix up our batter, and that recipe is going to be on my blog. It's a spiced batter, so it goes really well with our apple pies. And so I take a mini cookie scoop and I scoop out a little bit of batter. And I've already got my cupcake pan lined with these white cupcake liners, and I scoop the batter inside the liner, and I take one of my beautiful little apple pies and it's going to bake inside the cupcake. So I set it on top of the batter so it's setting there. And remember, you can use this rule for baking cakes too. You could go buy a gigantic apple pie and bake it inside of a cake too, just like this. So you can do it either way. And then you take your batter and you cover your apple pie with the spiced batter, and it's hiding now under that batter. But then when you bite into it, it's going to be cupcake and pie in one, which is amazing. Like I said, an apple orchard inside of a cupcake. So that is how you bake a mini pie inside of a cupcake. And you need to bake it for about 22 minutes on 325 in an oven. All right, now I'm going to show you the beauty of a apple pie cupcake. So we're going to cut into the cupcake using a serrated knife. I love to do this because you can just see how beautiful it looks. So I'm taking the cupcake liner off. And I take the pie off just so that I can cut into the cupcake easily. I'm cutting in, it's super moist. I'm cutting into the cupcake. And then you see the pie on the inside. So it's pie and cupcake. And then of course, you have to take a bite. It tastes just like fall. It's amazing. So we've seen the beauty of the inside of the cupcake, and I'm sure you had a glimpse of how I decorated them. So I'm just going to show you how I decorate them. First of all, this frosting is amazing and out of this world, and it's so simple to make. It's my salted caramel frosting, and I make it with ready-made caramel, so you don't have to go through the fuss of baking or cooking your own caramel on the stove. You can just, and I'll have the recipe on my blog as well with the rest of the cupcake recipe. But now I'm going to show you how I decorate the cupcakes and make them look really pretty. So what I do is I take my salted caramel frosting after I made it and I put it in a piping bag with a large round tip, and I pipe it and swirl it onto the cupcake starting in the center. So that's the first thing I do is I pipe my frosting on the top, and I take another disposable piping bag and I take it and I fill it with that ready-made caramel that I also used in my frosting, and I glaze the top of my cupcake with caramel, so it's like a caramel apple cupcake, just like a regular caramel apple. And I make it look really beautiful. I just feel like it looks so pretty when you drizzle it over the top, and you have more control when you use a piping bag or a Ziploc bag. And I sprinkle it with glitter, edible glitter, disco dust. And last but not least, you take these little mini pies that you made with so much love and you place it, you just put it right on top of your swirl of frosting. And there you have it. You have the most beautiful cupcake that you can make this fall. That's my opinion. And you just keep decorating them however you'd like, with as much caramel and as much apple and as much spice. Spice it up. And of course, as much magical glitter as you'd like. So that, my loves, is how you make caramel apple pie cupcakes. So did that recipe, that fall recipe, make you hungry for more? Because I am hosting my grand opening anniversary party at the Cupcake Mansion in New London on October 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we're going to have, of course, cupcakes. And there's going to be unicorns for you to pet. You'll actually get to meet real unicorns, and there'll be art vendors and all kinds of fun. And it'll be, like I said, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Cupcake Mansion on October 26th.